For less than 5,000 pesos, you already move from just merely being a consumer, buying this stuff, to become an investor. You take part of the growth of the company. So that's massive. That's massive. Hey guys, so in this video, we are doing a deep dive on the Monde Nissin aka Lucky Me IPO with one goal: to give you the right info so you get to decide properly if you want to invest in it or not. We are kickstarting this series on the Monde Nissin IPO on the backs of its approval from the Securities and Exchange Commission to list in the Philippine Stock Exchange. And as what I said in the previous video, this will be the largest IPO in the Philippines. I think it's even larger than all of the listings combined from last year. The planned IPO is set to raise 63 billion pesos, around 1.3 billion US dollars. Part of that is they are offering 3.6 billion shares to be sold at a maximum price of 17.5 pesos per share. Most of the time, at least for the past few years, the maximum price is not really the price that it gets sold. Normally, it goes lower than that. So I'll keep you updated by May 18 because that will be the final price of what they will list Monde Nissin on. So if you would want to write down important dates, May 18 is the final price. So roughly a week after May 24 to May 28, that's the offering period, and that's the time you and me as investors, we get to have a piece and we get to start to order off of this. So for those who have been in the market for quite some time, you already know the process on how to do it with your respective brokerages. For those who are doing this for the first time and just want a small piece of the action, you can just go to PSE for you to be able to do it. And then after that, we will have Monde Nissin be available for trading in the stock market by June 7, 2021. I think that this is something that's very, very interesting also from a brand perspective. This is something that we all grew up with. This is something that when we were younger, we had this for our snack. Baka nakain nyo to for lunch and dinner. Also, it's a very, very affordable meal na, in my opinion, has a brand, but they don't just have brand. It's something that's very recognizable, and a large part of the Filipino population have tried, eaten, and have grown up with. Monde Nissin isn't just Lucky Me, but this is the highlight of its entire company. It will always be Lucky Me. Of course, they have Fita, they have Skyflakes, but similar to Jollibee, Jollibee has a lot of brands, but we always think when you say Jollibee, it will always be Jollibee still, etc. Please remember, everything also that I'm talking about here, it's all public information. It's something that's available via their prospectus, which you all have access to as well. And please remember this, that no matter how much I talk about it here, never ever get into this IPO just because you hear it off YouTube, just because I talk about it, or just because you hear a friend talk about it as well. Never ever do that. The most important thing that you're supposed to do is take the time to be able to learn if it's something that fits you, if it's an investment that as you do a deep dive on it, it's something that makes sense for you. Because if it doesn't, no matter how much I talk about it, or no matter how much your friend talks about it, and if it doesn't work for you, then don't go for it. Similar to the videos that I've created on cryptocurrencies, this is still a high conviction investment, that the best way for you to become productive and better at this is you know what you are getting into. If you are a consumer of this, and then you've been buying it for years and you know it by heart, no matter if the IPO price will be at 17.5 pesos per share, you can buy shares of Monde Nissin / Lucky Me for less than 5,000 pesos. For less than 5,000 pesos, you already move from just merely being a consumer, buying this stuff, to become an investor. You take part of the growth of the company. So we could talk about valuations, we could talk about growth, we could talk about brand, we could talk about their income. It would be nice if every Filipino had exposure to companies that they like, companies they believe in, companies that at least hindi lang sila gumagastos doon, pero investor na rin sila doon, kahit maliit lang. And I think we are at a point in history where investing not just in crypto markets or US markets, also in Philippine markets, hindi ganon kalaki yung kailangan na capital para makapag-invest ka. Just by looking at the products and the company itself, and you believe that you want to be a part owner of Monde Nissin and Lucky Me, then try it, go for it, put a small amount of money in it. Better try with a small amount of money and have experience on it. And then as you start to realize, okay pala to, then you start adding more. So that whatever investment you have, whatever knowledge you have, in terms of the Monde Nissin IPO is not just something that you read of the internet or you watched of a YouTube video, but it's something you participated on. So where will the proceeds of the IPO go? Number one, it will be for capital expenditures. Number two, it will be for a redemption of an ARAN convertible note, meaning they're gonna pay portions of the IPO to pay off debt, and repayments of loans to certain banks in the Philippines like BDO, Metrobank, BPI, Union Bank, etc. So before, I would always say that I'm not a big fan when companies start raising money off IPO just to pay off debt. When you start investing in startups and when you go to other companies also, some of them also have debt. I think what's so important also above and beyond this is looking at how responsible the company is in handling the cash that comes their way. Relatively speaking, investing in Lucky Me is a much safer bet than investing in the crypto space. If you're thinking baka risky yan, Lucky Me na yan, I don't think Lucky Me in the next 5 years magsasara. I don't think Monde Nissin in the next 10 years mawawala sila. If you find a company na parte na ng buhay ng bawat Pilipino, pwedeng mag-dip yung earnings, pwedeng lower yung earnings, they might have a net loss for a certain quarter, similar to what happened to Jollibee. But as long as they're very good, they're attached to the lives of every Filipino, then that company, in my opinion, is there to stay for a very long period of time. So now I want to show you here, this is the corporate structure of the company. Here's how it looks like, Monde Nissin Corporation, as you can see right here. So it's a very large company with different holdings, not just in the Philippines, but also overseas. So basically, Monde Nissin has two core businesses. One is the Asia Pacific Food and Beverage Corporation, and the second one is the meat alternative business, which is I'm a very big fan of. For those who've been watching me for quite some time, you know that I love investing in Beyond Meat. It's nice to see another company that's locally based, that has exposure to overseas markets that are into alternative meat business. So I think they're in the right direction in terms of growth, because I really believe that as time goes by, we would see more and more people who would want to be healthy, but above and beyond them wanting to be healthy, they would want exposure into something that allows them to eat less meat. So by the way, yung Asia Pacific BFB business, that's where the Lucky Me's would come in. That's where Skyflakes, Fita, Nissin, M.Y. Graham Crackers, and Mamacita would be part of. So a lot of the large brands that you know as Filipinos are found in the APAC BFB business. They are market leaders in their specific categories, and that's what I want. And for those who have been watching me for quite some time, you know my narrative. We always want to invest in the market leader because it's hard to beat the market leader. The market leader has extensive reach, has extensive capital, and it will be harder for a new entrant to beat them. So the competitive strength of Monde Nissin is basically have leading positions across multiple branded high-growth food and beverage segment, with a dominant position in the instant noodle market and the #1 position in the biscuit market in the Philippines. According to Nielsen, the instant noodle market reached 34.9 billion in 2020, which is attributed to increasing disposable income, food expenditure, growing urbanization, busy lifestyles, greater access to product categories, which resulted to an increased preference for affordable, quick, and tasty meals, and consumption per capita of instant noodles. Another interesting detail, the Philippines instant noodles segment had a market share of 68% of total retail sale value. That's massive. Virtually all of the group's consumer business is branded and comprises well-recognized and diversified household brands. For over 40 years, the group has built and managed a market-leading portfolio of 7 flagship brands as of December 31, 2020. Lucky Me, Skyflakes, M.Y. Graham, Nissin, Mamacitas, and Dutch Mill. Lucky Me has grown into an iconic brand consumed by 98% of Filipino households. That's massive. Check this out, guys. This is the market share of their respective brands. For instant noodles, Lucky Me has 68% of the retail sales value and rank. It's #1. Then you have biscuits and crackers. For biscuits, they're 30.5%. They're #1. For crackers, they're 56.9%. They're also #1. Again, the headline brands here, Skyflakes, Fita, M.Y. Graham, Nissin, and Butter Coconut. In terms of sandwiches, you have Bingo and Skyflakes, which comprises of 14.4%, which is 3rd place. For cookies, you have Nissin Breadstick and Nissin Eggnog Cookies, which is 21.3%, which is also #1 in its category. Then you have wafer, you have Nissin Wafer Choco and Nissin Waffle Deluxe, which is at 17.5%, 2nd place. Then in terms of their other brands, you have Mamacita, which is 56%, which is #1 in its category. Then for yogurt drinks, you have Dutch Mill, which is #1 at 73.2%. Then for cultured milk, they have Del Right, which is 2nd place at 27%. Now, here's where it becomes interesting because of their exposure to corn, which is a plant-based alternative to meat. Corn Foods is a leading market player with superior technology, high-quality products, and well-defined strategy to deliver long-term success in highly attractive and fast-growing meat alternative space. Operating in a highly attractive and fast-growing meat alternatives market to be worth up to $140 billion by 2029. So Corn Food is the market leader in meat alternatives in the UK. They're actually number 1, and Cauldron, which is number 3. Corn is 28% in terms of market share. Then you have Cauldron with 5% market share. So before I end this video, I want to show you snippets of its income, but we're going to do a deep dive on that on the next videos. And hopefully we get to interview people part of the company, as what we've been doing over the past IPOs, to give you as much data and information as possible so that you get a holistic view on how you can decide properly. Net sales 63 billion 2018, 2019 65 billion, 2020 67 billion. So in my opinion, this passes already one of my styles. So I want sales to be increasing. Cost of goods sold also are increasing, 39 billion, 40 billion, 41 billion. Gross profit, 24 billion, 25 billion, 26 billion from 2018, 2019, 2020. So very, very good in terms of how much products they're actually selling. And please remember this, in the midst of the pandemic, a lot of the items that they are selling is something that's very, very relevant to Filipinos who are staying at home, is very, very relevant to Filipinos who want to stockpile on items that they need so they don't have to go out on a regular basis. Now, this is where it gets interesting because their net income has increased over the past 3 years. As you can see right here, net income 2018, 2.7 billion. 2019, 6.6 billion, 2020, 8 billion. So if you try to analyze it, no, from 2018, 2.7 billion to 2020, 8 billion, it has leaped massively. And if you look at it also, it's supported also by them actually selling more. And for me, that's a very, very good sign, no, of companies that are healthy, is that you see them organically grow as well. So in the next videos, we're going to do a deep dive, look at its EPS, maybe analyze its valuations, look at dividends, look at its cash, look at its debt, look at its assets, and tackle some of the other items that I was not able to talk about in this video. Feel free to leave your questions down below or send your questions via DM, via our Patreon group, or via our Instagram group. As much as possible, I try to reply to every question sent via Patreon. For Instagram, I try to reply to around 10 to 20 questions a day. I hope you guys got a lot from this, and I hope that this is something that's giving you enough insight also to be able to learn more about the company and also trade and invest. Before I put this to a close, I'd like to invite you to our technical analysis seminar, which is happening this May. It will be in the first 2 weeks of May. Saturday, Sunday, it will be a deep dive on technical analysis on how you can trade the Philippine market, the US market, and the crypto market using technical analysis. We're going to talk about candlesticks. We're going to talk about support and resistance, trend lines, moving averages, MACD, ADX, RSI, parabolic SAR, Bollinger Bands, Fibonacci retracements, and so much more. So if you want to know more about that, links are in the description below on how you can register. And above and beyond that, I'd like to invite you to the largest investment conference in the country. Icon 2021 will be done online. It will be the last Friday and Saturday of May 2021. We have Tony Herbosa, Randall Chongson, Rex Mendoza, David Lichu, Diwa Gunibundo, and so much more. If you want to join us also, link is in the description below. And if you want to trade US and the cryptocurrency market, we have links there below, Binance and eToro, something that you can use so that you can also have access and trade and earn off other markets as well. And lastly, for those who want to grab a copy of my book, we have them available via Shopee and Lazada, and they're also available in all national bookstores nationwide. So I hope you guys got a lot from this, and I hope that this video is something that's insightful to give you the right conviction on how you can invest in the markets. Again, because that's all I want. I just really want to see more and more Filipinos invest, na kesa gastusin nyo yung pera nyo, maganda rin magtabi to put a certain portion of it invested in the market, because it has the potential to drop, to lose money, pero it also has the potential to earn, and better have your money invested in an asset than putting it into something na wala na siyang value 5 to 10 years later. That's why you have to dedicate the prime years of your life saving and investing, because it's still massively better to save and invest than to put your money in things that don't matter in the grand scheme of things. So I hope you guys got a lot from this. This is Marvin Gurmo. I hope this video helps you trade well, trade strong, trade smart. See you all again soon, and God bless you all.